What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Nick Underhill of neworleans.football. Your best resource when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. Go subscribe to neworleans.football. All the best inside info. Nick, Mike Triplett, Brooke Kirkshaw for the entire team over there is absolutely fantastic. Looks like new offices maybe even opening up from judging from Brooke's Twitter here pretty soon. Exciting stuff continuing over at NOF, eh, Nick?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, we got a new studio coming right after the first of the year on Vets Boulevard up by the mall there at Metairie. So yeah, a lot of good stuff happening our way.
Okay, good stuff happening the Saints way. 2 wins in a row. I'll get this on my chest because I didn't even mean to start this interview negatively, but now I just remembered it. What was your interpretation of the chest-thumping quote that DA comes out with about Derek Carr, expecting us to fall on our knees and lay prostrate for a 210-yard game? Like, is that not insane? Like, is that not, like, immature? Like, I don't understand it. Yeah, you're paid $40 million. I hope you can throw for 210 and 3 tons at least once in a season. Like, what the hell are we talking about? Besides that, there's a lot of good to get into, but that done pissed me off a little bit, Nick.
Whoa, bro! Like, you cannot shortchange Derek Carr in the Saints building. It was 218, and they will let you know that it was 218.
My bad.
Yeah. No. Like, you can overinflate his accomplishments, but you can't undersell him because that's just right. A huge set. Look, I thought it was weird. I thought it was a little bit weird. If you want to come in though and be that guy and create us against the world and all that stuff, like, cool, go ahead. I support it. I almost kind of like it. Show a little bit of cockiness, have some ego, have some attitude, whatever. But also remember that you're 7-7, and then also remember that the other players on the team are seeing this, they're hearing it, they've seen everything that's happened before, every single time you defended them. So now that you come out there that strong, this direction on it, if he has a bad game, you need to be just as willing to go up there and call it out with the same gusto and vigor and all that stuff, because it's not about me, it's not about you listening, it's not about what we say on our podcast, on the radio, and our articles. Dudes in that locker room see how this is being carried out, and people look at that stuff kind of weird when it's inconsistent. So True. You got to be really, really consistent now with how you treat everybody. But yeah, I thought that was a little bit, little bit over the top. It's 218. It's the Giants. You had 37 yards going into the fourth quarter last week. You haven't played 2 good games in a row in 2 years. Let's wait and see what happens on Thursday night before we pound our chest.
And so look, and now granted, there have been, let's start to get into the positives, right? So they were awful in the red zone. They are now 9 of 10 on the last 10 trips down there. It doesn't include something like the Juwan touchdown either, as you wrote about. So there's been improvement. Jimmy Graham's been key in that improvement. But after watching the film, what do you think has been the biggest contributing factor over that sample size of 10 different trips to now suddenly you are finishing consistently? What's been the biggest difference since that Falcons game?
So, I mean, look, the thing that I think that they've done better than maybe the highlight of Dennis Allen's 2-year tenure as head coach to this team is his turnaround in the red zone. I mean, they added an extra day of practice to the red zone stuff on offense, and we've seen the results. They've been 9 of 10 since then. So they identified an issue. They tried a solution, and they seem to have kind of solved it a little bit. I mean, it's definitely gotten a lot better. So, one thing I'm always saying is it's like December 18th. This is who they are. They aren't going to get any better. Well, I'm eating my words on that because they are getting better in the red zone. They have found a way to improve there. And that's key to kind of everything that I think we've seen recently. So credit to them for that. But also, this was something they had an issue with on their defense a few years back before DA was the head coach. And they had an extra day of the defensive red zone practice. And they got much better in the red zone there, too. So it's something that they've done a little bit. They've been able to problem solve, and they've gotten a lot better at those things. And then the other thing that I would highlight as an improvement is, look, we were on Pete Carmichael's ass hard early in the season, just criticizing everything. And I think that he's actually gotten better as the season has gone on, and he's done good at self-scouting, recognizing stuff, kind of getting more with trend. Sunday was their highest total of early down play action attempts of the season. What was it before? It was the Carolina game. What was it before that? The game before that. So like they're trending up in all these areas where you want to see them doing different things. All the stuff we were talking about, motion, play action, just these little things you can do to make life a little bit easier on your offense and your quarterback, get the defense to show you something, get people out of position. They're doing all those things now, and I think the offense has gotten a little bit better. There's still a long way to go. I don't know that you even keep him next year, but I think that it is important to, highlight the success because we were so willing to talk about the failure. So
Yeah.
Carmichael, I think, has turned things around a little bit.
Hey, earlier we were talking about Brian Brzee and maybe his rookie season. He has a big game on Sunday, and I want to get your thoughts because maybe it's because of Marcus Davenport and Peyton Turner and even now Isaiah Foskey, and you've had like a lot of misses when it comes to first-round defensive linemen. So like when you assess his play so far in his rookie season, kind of how do you lay out what he's been able to do, some ebbs and flows, but how do you see his rookie year going?
I think he's had a pretty good rookie year. I mean, look, I think so the thing that I think is different between Brzee and like Davenport and Peyton Turner is that they drafted Brzee and he was a guy with actual pedigree, and the other guys they were like trying to project pedigree, I guess. So I'm not surprised that he's coming in and had some success. I mean, everybody kind of knows his story in college. His sister passed away. He had a bunch of health issues. Just kind of never really lived up to the full expectation of what he could be because there was all this adversity, and then the adversity goes away, and you see the player just kind of showing up now. So, yeah, look, I think he's done well. I mean, there's been times where I thought it could be a little bit more impactful, a little bit more pressure, but overall, I think he's been kind of consistent. And I really like some of the stuff they've done with the pass rush the last 2 weeks. The biggest difference, you're seeing some blitz for sure. They blitzed 10 times this week, but it was like a middle of the road game for blitzing. Last week they blitzed 20 times, which was a season high. Two rookie quarterbacks, you can kind of attack them a little bit more and get away with some stuff. But the big difference is that on third downs, a lot of times they play 3 down defensive linemen. The last 2 weeks they went to 4, and I think you're getting better rush lanes and you're just getting better matchups by doing that instead of kind of having guys being set up to be double teamed in a lot of situations. So it's kind of freed people up a little bit. Brzee had a cleanup sack. Tano had a cleanup sack. Like there was just a handful of things that just kind of happened because they were just rushing a different way. And I think you see the results there. 7 sacks. I think 3 of them came on blitzes and the other 4 were just kind of with the 4-man front. So they've kind of started to open things up a little bit there. And I think, you're seeing the results. Getting Zach Bond involved in the pass rush, I think has been kind of key to that too. There's a couple plays where he didn't get the sacks, but he set one up by squeezing DeVito up in the pocket on one. So yeah, I mean, look, they're making plays, but yeah, Brzee is definitely showing up, and that's a hit in the draft. They need a lot more hits in the draft because I think if you kind of look at some of the issues they're having, and then you go back and look at the draft history since 2018, there's a correlation between the number of misses and kind of where the holes are on the team right now. And him being good, I think is huge. And I think you still need to see a little bit more, but he's definitely heading in the right direction.
You mentioned Bond, and Jake talked about this earlier, but, I mean, adding him to that pass rush, like, doesn't Jake was kind of asking, like, why did it take so long? Like, that's what he was known for in college. Yeah, it kind of makes sense that he would be flourishing there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the pedigree of what they want out of their pass rushers. They want these guys that can stop the run first, and then you're able to rush the passer. They don't like speed rushers for whatever reason. I think it's kind of outdated a little bit, to be totally honest. I think kind of having guys on the edge that aren't super athletic or fast, like, is it part of the reason why you see quarterbacks kind of constantly getting out of the pocket on them and gutting them a little bit? You don't have anybody that can run them down there and athletic enough to do it. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't get it. Like on a third down, you put him out there every single third down and he can make something happen. They just kind of outsmarted themselves a little bit on it. And the crazy thing with Bond is they wanted to draft Bond in the first round. Like that, They ended up getting him in the third round. They wanted to draft him in the first round. They were actively trying to trade up to get back into the first round to get him. They were trying to trade up into the second round to get him. They just happened to get him in the third round because that's when they were able to make a trade to get him. And it's just like the vision and the plan, it never fit. It never made sense. But, I talked to Bond yesterday and he was just like, yeah, man, like I've been, kind of waiting for my moment. I've been working on my pass rush. Like I've been sitting here just kind of waiting my turn for this opportunity to come. And, now it's here. And again, like, I don't think he's like necessarily super game changing or anything, but I think he's effective there. And I think he's someone that should be part of that, like get something out of him at least. And you're kind of seeing it right now. And, I think kind of getting him in there, getting Cam just kind of be in the first and second down role, all that stuff. Like I think that's kind of been the key the last couple of weeks to getting some pass rush going.
Well, and then one guy who is a game changer, he's an unbelievable leader. We all know Demario Davis. Said it last week. It's one of the lone fun remaining parts of the team was watching Demario Davis rush the passer. He's now up to 6.5 sacks on the year, 9 tiffles, over 100 tackles, and he's doing it all at 34 years old. Nick, dude hasn't lost a step.
We were talking about this last night. I mean, I think one of the biggest shames of his career is that he got off to this slow start with the Jets. Because I think if you kind of isolate it from the time he got to the Saints forward, like to me, but there's no doubt about I think we're watching one of the best linebackers in like league history. I think he's a what we've seen with the Saints, like that's a Hall of Fame caliber player every single week. Still is. You're still seeing it now, but like he got off to the slow start earlier in his career, didn't get the recognition he deserved, and kind of the recognition with the Saints was a little bit slow to come. And then by the time people realize he's in his 30s and, he's still, to me, I think he still looks damn near as good as he did when he first got here. I think obviously that there's probably a step loss somewhere, but I think he's made up with that with the mental game. And there's kind of, this balancing act of just winning through anticipation, smarts, intelligence, reading the defense or the offense and all this stuff. And it makes up for it and covers it all up. But he was unbelievable in this game, came out with just crazy energy. The pass rush has always been good. You go back to 20, like he was great in 20 is a blitzer. And then they kind of moved that to Caden Ellis. Caden Ellis was excellent at it. Then it was kind of slow going this year, getting back to it. But I think that's something that he needs to be doing all the time. Like when he's playing downhill, like he's explosive. He has great vision, great feel for how to blitz. Very fluid in how he attacks and everything, times it. Just it's smart and well thought out. And yeah, they're at their best when they have him involved in kind of everything. So I think these final 3 weeks, like you need to keep calling up some blitzes. And I think he needs to be the guy that you're doing it with.
Now, we get on the Saints for some of the things they've done as far as drafting, certainly on the defensive line, but I do want to give them a good attaboy for what they've done drafting at the corner position because Alante Taylor, Paulson Adebo, they have been rock solid. No Lattimore, no problem yesterday for this, this group and really the tandem of those two. I mean, I think this is a tandem that can continue to grow, and I still think their best football might be ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, Alonte's definitely played. Man, that penalty yesterday was the league needs to like apologize. That was embarrassing. That was the most embarrassing penalty I've ever seen. Like he just straight up tackled him, and it was just a good hard tackle in the open field, and they flagged it. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I think he's playing better. Adebo's been unbelievable all year. The other guy too, that like they stole a player, I think, with Ike Yadam. Like he has been outstanding, and he's up to like 250 coverage snaps this year. The exposing of him hasn't really come. I think over the last 2 weeks, he's been targeted 14 times, given up 3 catches for something like 43 yards with 5 forced incompletions. Like he has been unbelievable. I think he's a free agent after this season. So we'll see kind of what happens. I think he's actually someone that can go somewhere and be like a good number 2 corner. Like I've been waiting for like, that moment where it's like, okay, things are going to fall apart for him and it hasn't come. Maybe it's Thursday night against a better quarterback and a better offense, but he's been great too. But yeah, the corners overall, like Lattimore goes out and it's kind of crazy to say it. And I think again, like it's you're playing Bryce Young, you got DeVito who, hit a nice little moment and it was a cool story, but like, kind of what we saw yesterday is probably who he actually is.
Yeah. So
like they haven't been tested by like a super great quarterback with Lattimore out, but they've covered it up 2 years in a row now without him. So, I mean, that's a credit to coaching. I think you want to point to one thing DA does probably better than anybody, and it's probably his best attribute. It is the coaching of the secondary. And, I think having Joe Woods in there and Marcus Robertson just adds to that. But yeah, they have been outstanding at that position all year long.
Talking to Nick Underhill, neworleans.football is the site. Go sign up. Nick, where's your belief level at in the Saints offense after Sunday?
What is my belief on the offense after Sunday?
Yeah, like after because I mean, even beating Carolina, we talked about, was still an abject disaster offensively. Yesterday was clean, solid. I guess, okay, if we create a scale, we're on one end, we have yesterday's game, and the other end, we have Carolina's game. The truth of the Saints, where does it fall on that scale? Which end is it closer to?
I think it's probably like a 5. But look, like when we were talking about Derek Carr, like all offseason about, oh, he looks good in training camp. Like he's executing, he's throwing the ball well. It was always with the caveat, like, yeah, but we'll see what happens with live bullets. So yesterday's game, that was what we saw in training camp the whole entire time. And why was it? He got pressured, I think, 3 times the whole entire game. Like when everything's
Yeah.
clean and there's nothing coming at him, he is going to execute like that. He's going to spread the ball around. He's going to be calm. He's going to be composed. He's going to find the open guys. He's going to complete passes to 10 different guys. Like I bet if you had callers calling and you said you can't name Mike Thomas and you can't name Chris Olave, name 10 skill position players for the Saints, a lot of people probably wouldn't be able to get to that number, but he found them. But look, that's the guy we saw all summer long, but I don't think you're going to have that replicated every single week. There isn't going to be this clean pocket every single game. So they were able to provide it. Everything was perfect around him, and he played kind of a perfect game. So I'm not surprised by that at all because I think that's what he's capable of doing. So I think it's a 5 overall. Like I don't think you're going to see what we saw again in another game because I just don't think it's possible to keep the pocket that clean. So yeah, I got to see it. Look, there's just been too many times, and I'm not trying to be like Mr. Negative here. It's just going back to last year. Every single time they played a good game, it was followed by a terrible game. Every time they play a good half, it's followed by a bad half. So I'm not going to come on here and be like, oh man, they're so effing back. They're going to make the playoffs. Like I gotta see it. You got to beat the Rams Thursday night. They still might, find their way into the playoffs with wins over the Falcons and maybe Tampa Bay, even if they lose this week. But I got to see sustained success before I'm buying all the way back in. We just been fooled too many times, and I've looked like an idiot too many times, being like, yeah, man, I think they turned this corner. Till we get all the way around it. Like I'm not projecting the turn around the corner anymore. Like I got to see you on the other side of it before I'm buying it.
Nick Underhill. Nick_Underhill on Twitter.com. neworleans.football is the site. Go check it out today. Nick, thank you so much, man. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.